Everybody settled? For ready? Feeling good? All right. Time. Hello, Jeffers. I'm really excited to kick these off today. Before I dig into my coffee, please eat the piece of pomelo closest to you. Take note of the acidity. Go ahead. After you're finished, at your leisure, you can eat the piece of pomelo closer to me. This is a salted piece of pomelo, and I want you to pay special attention to how the salt and the acidity interact with each other and how salinity transforms that acidity. Go ahead. Thank you. I'm going to leave the pomelo a mystery for now. We're going to revisit that later. The coffee I'm serving you today is an anaerobic process Robusta coffee from Vietnam, roasted and imported by New Coffee Supply in Brooklyn, New York. This coffee is grown at the Eaton Cooperative in the Central Highlands in the Dak Lat region of Vietnam, and it's grown at 800 to 900 meters above sea level, which is quite high for Robusta coffee. This is the TR4 variety. I'm using this single coffee for all of my courses today, and I'm filling all of my shots at a recipe of 19 grams in to 53 grams out in 27 seconds. I'm going to be serving you a fresh, local, Portland whole milk. I haven't done any additional processing to this milk. I really wanted the body and finish of my coffee to shine. And I found that with freeze distilling milk, it overshadowed the coffee a little bit. I want to use this platform today to explore some of the biases we hold around Robusta coffee and talk about why those might exist. So I'm going to take us back to the late 1970s and early 1980s. At that time, East and West Germany were separate countries, and the East Germans faced a severe coffee crisis. To solve this, they invested tens of millions of dollars into Vietnamese coffee production. Not only did they physically bring cherries to Vietnam, but they also invested in infrastructure to make the most efficient farms possible. Because East Germany folded before they were able to see the first crop of this coffee, two relevant and interesting things happened. First, Vietnam ended up with a surplus of coffee, which cultivated an environment where local consumption could thrive. And this happened a lot sooner than in a lot of other coffee-producing countries. Second, the Vietnamese government focused on exporting the largest quantity of coffee possible. And this remained their focus for some years. I'm going to be serving 3-ounce milk beverages today. The tasting notes in your milk beverage are going to be toasted sugar, malt stevia, and Japanese winter melon. I'm steaming your milk today to a temperature of 140 degrees. Thank you. And joyful. Thank you. Good joy. Thank you. Let's give a big round of applause for Maya's worst round of backwards really becoming. Alrighty, so let's talk about this pomelo. One of the things I learned in preparing for this competition was about how to taste Robusta, something that we as coffee professionals don't often learn about. I learned that one of the important principles in tasting Robusta is understanding how they're Q graded. So where Arabica acidity would be scored, Arabica coffee would be scored on acidity. Robusta coffee is scored on something called salt-acid balance. That's why I had to taste the salted pomelo, to understand and have a recent first-hand taste experience of how salt and acidity interact with one another. So think back to that experience and to how those transformed with the addition of salt. In this espresso, you're going to enjoy a heavy body, a velvety mouthfeel, and an extremely long coating finish. You're going to have tasting notes of chamomile, pomelo, cedar, and a very late note, again, of Japanese winter howling. I do have some special instructions for your consumption of this espresso course today, so please wait for my instruction before you sip. And with tasting Robusta coffee in general, also today, please refrain from aerating your sips. All right. While you wait to sip these, let's go back to where we left off in Vietnam. They had started enjoying plentiful local consumption of their oat coffee. This allowed Vietnamese people to develop a specialty coffee consuming culture concurrent with primarily consuming countries such as the United States. Go ahead and stir, and then enjoy the first unaerated and gentle sips of your espresso.
Let's hear it for those espresso.
In addition to developing a strong specialty coffee consuming culture, which created a unique feedback loop with an extraordinarily short distance between barista, consumer, and coffee producer, compounded with the fact that it takes less time for Robusta to yield fruit. Vietnam was able to make massive quality improvements of their coffee in an unprecedentedly short amount of time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of my signature beverage ingredients and why they're present, and then I'm going to give you flavor calls at the end. So first, I've added a coconut cream and powdered Vojicha foam. Maybe the Vojicha adds a balancing bitterness to this drink, and is also a cool ingredient here because it's often overlooked, especially if you feel much like Robusta in coffee. Then, I'm adding 8 grams of this foam beverage. This will mirror that of your espresso course. Then I've added 8 grams per beverage of an oleosaccharide feed. I made this using 3 main ingredients: palm sugar, a common sweetener in Vietnam, which is a little bit mellower than table sugar, spent coffee pucks from my practice, which adds a richness and a depth of flavor, as well as a Buddhist hand peel. Buddhist hand is one of the first cultivated citruses, and it's extremely floral, so it mixes up the chamomile note with my espresso, which I progressed into my tasting notes. My espresso are chamomile, pomelo, cedar. Oh, I did vegetables inside. The chamomile note is blended by the Buddhist hand. I've chosen to serve this drink iced today in order to allow me to finish and further lift that acidity. And the last ingredient I added was 2 grams per beverage of a cinnamon broth. I made this by mulling cinnamon and hot water for 8 hours. I made it in broth form to honor the Vietnamese tradition of pho. And although Vietnamese cinnamon is known to be extremely spicy, this won't add any spice element, but rather it will elongate and clean up the finish to mirror that of your espresso course as well. Finally, I'm creating a aromatic experience today. The smoked lemongrass is going to create an experience that mirrors what's happened in Robusta coffee and how we perceived it in the specialty coffee industry. It will start off full-bodied and acrid, much like how we perceived Robusta when the specialty coffee industry was emerging in the US. And it will finish off with a bright lemongrass note, representing the future of Robusta coffee. Please swirl to clear the smoke, and then enjoy. You will have notes of jasmine, shiso, sweet milk tea, and lemon flickering. Thank you. Time.
Let's give a big round of applause for Maya from Crowley Supply out of Brooklyn, New York. That was a great routine. I love that use of coffee, and also just like talking about pomelo. What kind of like inspired you to like just go that route with your routine?
I found it I think all of us can kind of relate to this. We're good, we're here, great. If you've tried Robusta recently and you're like, I don't really have anything to relate this to, which I think maybe a lot of us have had that experience because we're so used to tasting Arabica, I wanted to find a creative way to provide some context, and that's what I did.
I love that. Is there anyone special you would like to shout out that kind of like helped you get here today?
Definitely. First, I'm gonna shout out Sarah and Eric from New York Coffee Supply. They've been so supportive and so awesome, and I emailed Sarah when I was like going to qualifiers, and I was like, I really want an anaerobic Robusta. Can you like do that? And she was just like, one just landed up for it. So that was really cool and really serendipitous. And then my coaches, Jason and Noah, who have been just like phenomenally awesome.
Awesome, I love to hear that. Well, let's give another big round of applause for Maya.